Now, for business updates across the African continent, Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good to be with you all here in the Federal Capital Territory. Let's quickly run through what we have here. So we just got some news on the healthcare front that AstraZeneca is going to be buying a vaccine producer, Icosavax. Icosavax is based in Seattle. They've got two respiratory disease vaccines that are in, I think, phase 2 or phase 3 trials. So they are, close to getting those two vaccines, I guess, to the market if they get through the trial. So AstraZeneca is basically making an investment in the units, the COVID-19 unit that they initially set up back in 2020. So it's pretty much one of the big news that's just coming in on the wires. Moving on from there to COP28. They, of course, the draft legislation is supposed to be put in place with respect to what the outcome is going to be as far as agreements. Now, there hasn't, of course, been consensus on this agreement. First of all, the president of COP28 delayed the publication of the draft. Again, it's a draft, so this is likely to be revised as long as deliberations continue through today. Delayed it for about 10 hours because of the language to phase out fossil fuels. You got, proponents, climate change proponents who are essentially saying it's too weak because there's some language that says that phasing out of fossil fuels should be done in a just and orderly manner, which gives, fossil fuel dependent nations an out, basically, to not have to do that. Then, of course, so they're saying that the draft proposal is essentially weak. And then, of course, you've got the OPEC plus nations, Saudi Arabia being chief of them. We played that interview where the energy minister was saying that there's no way they're going to agree to essentially language that says they should phase out fossil fuels. So, we'll see if that draft revision, we'll see if a revision happens to the draft language, because as you know, COP28 is finally coming to an end. We move on from there to, I believe, the Hasbro. Hasbro, of course, is a company international toy maker that has announced that they're going to be making cuts to their workforce, about 20%. And essentially, I think it comes out to about 1,100 or 1,200 jobs. If we take a look at a quote from the CEO, Charles Cox of Hasbro, he essentially said that it is because of global headwinds that they're doing this. And you have to understand that we've got Christmas coming up, right? So you've got Christmas coming up and they're still making these cuts, which means that they don't anticipate that sales of toys will rise this particular Christmas period. As a reminder, last week, if we go to, I think, Spotify, they also announced, I think it was a week ago, that they would be making cuts to their job force to the tune of about 17%. And the same thing, the CEO also essentially said that it was because of global, macroeconomic headwinds. There was also last week we talked about British American Tobacco. They, of course, took an impairment charge of £25 billion as a result of, again, macroeconomic headwinds. So now, of course, this kind of flies in the face of the job numbers that we saw in the United States, which is just one particular country. It's not global, but the United States is still creating jobs at a decent pace, enough to keep Biden and the White House happy. So you're going to have to, contrast these two, where you've got companies that are making cuts, and then you've also got the numbers that are coming out from these big nations. We've got UK unemployment, I think, for up to 3 months to October coming in as well, about 4.2%. So that's holding steady. So we move on from there to, I believe we're going to be talking about what's next now. We've got, inflation expectations for the United States. So this is going to feed into what we expect to see from the Federal Reserve that will be meeting today and also meeting tomorrow. We're getting a decision from them as well. So you've got, these are expectations for October. You've got headline expectations at 3.1%, which will be down from October's number. Sorry, headline inflation for 3.1% for November, down from 3.2% in October. Again, this is the expectation. So we'll see what those numbers are later on today. Core inflation which strips out more volatile items in the U.S. The expectation is for 4%. October's numbers were October's numbers also at 4%. So the Fed is going to digest these numbers and then make a decision. As you know, we've got central bank meetings coming up. So the Fed, of course, meeting today, and we'll get their decision. In fact, yesterday and today, we should get their decision. No, tomorrow. Get their decision tomorrow. Then we also get the ECB and the Bank of England on Thursday. We'll get their decisions as well. So this is going to shape the narrative with respect to where interest rates are going. So from there, also making the news, I believe we're going to come to Nigeria now. The central bank suspending the cash processing fees on deposits. So essentially, there was, for individuals making deposits of 500,000 naira or more, you're going to be subject to a 2% fee. For firms, for 3 million or more, it's going to be a 3% fee. So they said that suspension is going to be in effect until April the 30th of next year. Now, what's the ramifications of that if you open that up? Maybe there's the issue with the cashless policy, which was what this was initially put in place for. There's also issues of the money supply as well. But that's the decision they've made in the circular that they put out. And then finally, on agriculture, we have the Senate's chair for agriculture, Senator Saliu Mustafa, calling for at least 10% of the budget, which has already been passed, to be allocated to agriculture. They have a 27.5 trillion naira budget, and he wants about 10% of that, basically 2.7 trillion, to be allocated to agriculture. He wants to align with the Maputo Declaration that was, of course, between heads of states on the continent, and he's saying that the current allocation, I think, is about 362 billion, which is only about 1.3% of the budget right now. The question, of course, is agriculture's issue funding? If you look at the issue with insecurity, infrastructure issues, and so on and so forth, is it really funding that is our issue with agriculture? So, lots to be debated. I don't see this moving forward. It's just a suggestion. The Minister of Agriculture also is in line with this. But, if you put 2.7 trillion in your budgets into agriculture, what happens to everything else? So that's our update for today.
A good one, Rotan. Good to see you, man. Missed you so much in this chair here. But concerning the Minister of Agriculture, one would think and ask that what is he even going to do with this money he's requesting? Because like you said rightly, the problem of this budget, and the budget has not been passed, the National Assembly is still taking a look at it until the President sends it back and he assents to it. One will ask that the problem really is about those legacy issues that we've not been able to solve. Logistic issues, cold room storage, insecurity problems. Take, for instance, you plant tomato in Benue, it just rots away. You can't quickly get into a factory nearby. You don't have enough storage facilities for it and all of that. Some people in the private sector have tried to sort of like a food exchange, like I think it's Afex in Abuja or something. But we need the multiplicity of things like that. So I think rather than asking for more money, I think you should think of how to coalesce with the private sector that are trying to create solutions to this problem in the agricultural value chain and do a whole lot more. Concerning vaccines, when I saw that big jump, by the pharmaceutical company buying another, I start to look at our own pharmaceutical company back in Nigeria that are leaving because of the state of the economy. And when you look at things, you would only hope that, we're able to bolster our local pharmaceutical production, and the foreign ones that are here, we're able to keep them, make the economic conditions better, before we can then now looking for more foreign investors. Because pharmaceutical is a big deal, and we're a really small part of the pie. I hear you. Okay, so I hear we need to go because of newspaper time, but thank you so much. I think you have to take us away now.
Yes, thank you so much, Rotus. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, and love, the presentation from Abuja.